Alright y'all, so today I'm going to be doing my first ever Raw recap. I'm going to try to do these for every weekly show, every PLE, every Saturday night's main event, etc. Y'all know what I mean. But I'm not going to make any promises. Will I miss a couple of Raws? Probably. Will I miss a couple of SmackDowns? Probably. But I'm going to try to do Raw recaps every week. I'm going to try to do SmackDown every week. I'm going to try to do like predictions every time my PLE is coming up. I'm going to try to do like other stuff too, like maybe tier lists and rankings and stuff like that. Just all type of WWE content. So without any further ado, I'm going to get right into this because y'all probably don't even know who I am. This is a brand new channel, so I'm not going to waste any more time just yapping. I'm going to get straight to the point. Okay, so today Raw was at 7 in the morning Central Time, and I wasn't even planning on watching this live. Like, I was going to watch it just later in the day whenever I had time. But I woke up super early today. It was like 7:56 or something. It's such a random time, I know. But it was like 7:50 or something. And I was like, you know what? Raw is on right now. I'm going to turn on Raw. And I did just that. So the show started off with Seth Rollins and the Vision coming out, after his win at Crown Jewel against Cody Rhodes. And, he's coming out there doing the regular, I am a revolutionary. I am a visionary. Y'all know what he be talking about. And then he starts like naming off all the achievements of like the people in his group or whatever. He's talking about how Paul Heyman's the GOAT. He's talking about how Bronson Reed's the tribal thief and he just beat Roman Reigns, etc. And it was obvious that Braun Breaker, he was a bit out of it. It was like something was off about him. It's hard to differentiate if that's just he has something on his mind that he's keeping to himself, or if it's just Braun Breaker being Braun Breaker. Because y'all know he's like a psychopath as it is. He'll just sit there all quiet and shit and then just beat the shit out of whoever comes in the ring. So you never know what's going on with Braun Breaker. So yeah, you think it's just Braun Breaker like typical activity. And then it gets interesting. Seth starts talking about how he's never needed anyone's help, how he doesn't need the Vision's help, how he doesn't need anyone's help to be who he is. And it's like, first of all, why are we lying, Seth? Why are we lying? In fact, it's easier to argue that you've always needed help, because when Seth first got his singles push back in like 2014, I don't think there was a match where Seth Rollins won without the help of somebody. I think every single match he won for like his first 2 years after leaving the Shield, he had help from somebody. So that just made no sense. But it was interesting that he said he doesn't need the Vision's help as he's standing right next to the Vision. But it's like, okay, then he says, I don't need the Vision, but I chose the Vision because I see them as the future of this company. And like Bronson and Braun just nodding their heads. They're like, yeah, I agree with him, yeah. And then, Seth just like talks his talk for a little bit longer. Oh, and Seth's talking about how he's like so grateful for everything going on. It's been like the best weekend of his life. He just won Crown Jewel Championship. Like his factions truly coming together and reaching their prime. Just talking about all that. And then that's that for now. And then we get it back. Hold on, y'all. This is so ghetto, bro. I'm recording in my car. My engine overheated. Let me turn my car off real quick. Sorry about that, y'all. But next, we got a backstage segment with Penta and Rusev, because y'all know Penta had an Intercontinental Championship match with Dominic coming up, which when they announced this last week, I was so hyped because this is two of my favorite wrestlers in the game right now. So every time they have a match, it's peak. And then it's for the Intercontinental title too, because I've been so addicted to the mid-card recently. Like, I've been so invested, whether it be the IC Championship, whether it be Sami Zayn's US Open Challenge. The mid-card titles are like my favorite part of Raw and SmackDown. I'm so invested in them. So we had a backstage segment with Rusev and Penta, and Rusev's like, I might get involved in this, but I might not, because Pierce just told me I have a match against the winner next week. So we were like, okay, whoever's winning this is going against Rusev. And that made it interesting because going into this, I was like, Rusev is most definitely interfering and costing Penta the match. But after he said that, I was like, okay, Rusev might stay in his own lane and not get involved because he doesn't want to mess up anything going on with his match next week. He doesn't want to jeopardize that by any means. So they have their match, and for the most part, it was just Penta dominating Dominic. Dominic would have his moments, but for the most part, Penta was just dominating him. And then Penta was going on a huge run, and out of nowhere, who do we see running down to the ring? Rusev. And I'm like, okay, Rusev, what are you doing here? Like, you just said you're not even gonna get involved in it, and here you are. He just couldn't contain himself. But this is where it gets interesting. Penta was like, nah, we're not having any of that. I'm finishing this match. I don't care what it takes. This is not in a DQ. He jumps over the rope. I think he might have even did a moonsault over the ropes onto Rusev. He took him out. But while all this was going on, Dom went to, what's it called, the scorekeepers area, the timekeepers area. Y'all know where the bell is and everything. He went over there, grabbed his belts, and he grabbed a hammer, which I've never even seen a hammer get used in a wrestling match. So I was like, okay, this is about to get interesting. He grabs a hammer, grabs his IC belt, he gets back in the ring, and he throws his belt on the ground. So now the ref's having to like get the belt out of the ring. And while that's going on, he hits Penta with the hammer, puts the hammer in his boot, hits him with a 619 frog splash. Y'all know how this goes. Dom got the win. So now we're gonna be seeing Dom versus Rusev next week, and I can almost guarantee Penta will be getting involved in costing Rusev. I just can't see Rusev taking another L to Dominic this soon. At least like another pinfall loss. I think Rusev's gonna dominate this whole match like he did last time. I think Penta will probably pull him out the ring or just like do something to get the match disqualified and then just start beating up Rusev. And then it's ultimately gonna lead to a triple threat, which I hope this triple threat could be at like Survivor Series or something. I want it to be more meaningful. I don't want it to just be like a regular Raw triple threat, but either way, a triple threat between these three is something I'm not complaining about. And I'd even go as far as saying I could see Rusev taking the title whenever this triple threat does happen, because you have more leeway in a triple threat to take the title off Dom while also still protecting Dom, because you could have Rusev win by making Penta tap out or pinning Penta. So I think it's really about to get super interesting within the next few weeks when it comes to the whole Intercontinental Championship division and whatnot. So I'm super excited for that, because like I said, this is one of my favorite things going on in WWE right now, and this was probably my favorite match of the night, if I'm being honest. It was the most memorable for me, at least. Okay, and then next up we had a backstage segment with Kairi Sane, and she started off by herself. She was looking like a little sad and regretful, because if you've been paying attention this whole time, it's like Kairi Sane doesn't want to do anything that she's doing, but it's like she's being forced to because she's scared of Asuka. So Kairi's sitting there looking regretful about everything. Next thing you know, Asuka does her infamous yell where she just starts yelling Kairi's name. Kairi gets up all scared and she informs Kairi that she has a match against Rhea Ripley, and they had a match. It was a pretty good match. It wasn't anything too crazy. I wouldn't say it was as good as the Rhea Ripley and Asuka match, but it was still a good match nonetheless, and I'm glad they let Kairi hold her own and she didn't just get completely squashed, so I liked that. But Rhea ended up picking the dub. Y'all know how this goes. Rhea's in Australia. If y'all thought she was gonna lose to Kairi Sane, there might be something wrong with you. Y'all know she's not gonna lose in Australia. But I do like the fact that they still made the Kabuki Warriors look strong after this, because instantly after the match they had Kairi and Asuka just attack Rhea and Io. So this is a good way to make them still look dominant heading into War Games, because there's a good chance that the Kabuki Warriors will be the heel faction at War Games. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens these next few weeks, because it's clear now that this rivalry is not done just yet. They're just getting started, and I'm really curious as to what this all is gonna lead to. I don't know if we're gonna get a Rhea Io like tag team championship run. I don't know if we're gonna get a Kabuki Warriors tag team championship run. I don't know if we're gonna eventually get Kairi Sane coming to her senses, turning on Asuka, and maybe even getting a push. I don't know what this is all leading to, so we're gonna find out within the coming weeks and months, and it should be really interesting to see how all of this unfolds, because I really have no clue what direction they're going with this. Okay, and after this we had Bayley and Lyra versus the Judgment Day, which we've been seeing different variations of this for like the past month, but I think this is the first time they tagged together against them. I might be mistaken. They might have had a tag match against them before, but it happened again on Raw today. So yeah, we had Bayley and Lyra, and this was an okay match. There was nothing too memorable, but it was just an okay match for the middle of the card or whatever. We had a moment though where it looked like Bayley could turn, because she was using her whole happy gimmick this time, like, because she has two personalities right now. She has like her good side, then she has her evil side, and she showed her good side at the beginning of the match. So I was like, I just know something's gonna change and she's gonna snap mid-match and just go crazy on Lyra. And I saw the moment where I thought it was gonna happen. Bayley was kind of like, she was just getting dominated, and Lyra was like talking to her. She's like, come on, get into it. Like, she's like trying to get her to like really start taking over, and Lyra slapped her, and I'm like, okay, Lyra, you poking the bear right now, because Bayley was probably already gonna do something to you regardless. Now she has every reason to attack you. Then Bayley does like this evil laugh. She turns around, starts running full speed. I'm like, oh, Lyra's cooked. She jumps out the ring and attacks Raquel or Roxanne. I was like, okay, so this is the Bayley we're getting. So Bayley ended up going crazy on them, got them back in the ring, got the win, and that was that. And if I happen to miss anything, or if I say stuff out of order, just bear with me, y'all. This is my first ever Raw recap, so I'm new to this. I've never even made WWE content before. And then after this, we had a segment with Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso backstage, because it was announced that Jimmy Uso would have a match against Bronson Reed. And I'm not gonna lie, I think we all knew Jimmy Uso was not winning right here. Bronson Reed just beat Roman Reigns, so how does that look if Jimmy Uso goes on and beats Bronson Reed right after? And that's not a shot to Jimmy Uso at all. I'm actually a big fan of Jimmy Uso, and I think he deserves a push, but knowing how WWE books Jimmy Uso, it's just apparent like they're not finna make him beat Bronson Reed. But yeah, they're having this segment, Jimmy and Jay, and Jay's like, you know, I have my own match later tonight. I can't keep getting involved in other people's stuff, so you're on your own tonight, Us. So I was like, okay, we know what's gonna happen after the match. He's gonna get attacked. Jimmy's gonna get attacked. Will Jay pull up? That's the question. So the match happens. Bronson's dominating him the whole match. We have a little moment where there was a point where I even thought Jimmy had a chance. Jimmy tries to go for a Samoa drop. He can't even get Bronson off the ground. Bronson starts dominating. A couple minutes later, he goes for the Samoa drop again, gets him on his shoulders. I'm like, oh, Jimmy might got this in his bag. But then Bronson Reed collapses onto him, does that thing where I don't even know what it's called. He jumps on him back first. You know, his big ass gonna do some shit. His big ass always just gonna jump on someone. He get on the top rope, do the tsunami. I'm like, oh, that's game. And then after the match, Braun Breaker pulls up. And then y'all know how this goes. Braun Breaker starts attacking Jimmy Uso. And then Bronson Reed joins in on the attack. So we're all just sitting here. Is Jey Uso gonna pull up, or is he gonna stick to his word and not get involved? Next thing you know, Uso! Jey Uso pulled up. He started beating everybody ass, bro. A couple super kicks to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's cooked. Bronson Reed pull up. He gave him a couple super kicks. Bronson Reed's cooked. Braun Breaker gets back up. A couple more super kicks. Start kicking his ass. Bronson Reed get up. Start kicking Bronson Reed ass. The longer way to return, Braun Strowman pulled up. He started beating Braun Strowman ass. Okay, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. But no, he cleared house, took the Brons out. And then there was a little moment where Jay took out Braun, and then right after that, Bronson jumped on Jay while Jay was in the turnbuckle. So Jay was like a little hurt, nothing too crazy, but he's like holding his chest a little bit. But he's fine. Like, he'll be able to have a good match after that. And then after that, we had a couple backstage segments, a couple just promos and whatnot. There was a segment where AJ Styles and Adam Pearce were talking to each other, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Adam Pearce is like, you know, after your match with Cena, I just have to say, I have a lot of respect for you. A lot of respect. Like, he was putting emphasis on it, and he was like, that's why next week I'm gonna be giving you, and I'm like, okay, we're working with something. Y'all know AJ Styles only has a year left and he's done. So I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And he's like, I'm gonna give you a tag team title match versus JD McDonough and Finn Balor. I'm like, are we serious? Like, there's nothing wrong with any person in this match, whether it be Dragon Lee, Finn Balor, JD McDonough. These are all respectable wrestlers. It's just, I think I speak for everyone when I say I don't think we want to see AJ Styles in the tag division in his last few moments in WWE. Okay, I had to fix the lighting because it was starting to get too blurry, so I had to turn the flash on. But yeah, back to what I was saying. We want to see AJ Styles having like meaningful matches, like singles matches, maybe a title run. It doesn't even matter what title, just some type of singles title. But instead, we're getting him tagging with Dragon Lee in a match that will almost certainly get interrupted by the Americanos. So it's like, what are we even doing? But it's not the worst situation ever. It's still a title match nonetheless. It's just, I had high ropes. Plus, it's just such a random tag team, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. But we've seen this with AJ Styles before. I believe he was a tag champion with Omos a few years back. So it's not out of the ordinary for AJ Styles at all. Then we had a moment with Stephanie Vaquer where she was basically just coming out, you know, since she was the Crown Jewel champion, just talking about how like she's grateful and whatnot, and just doing her typical championship speech after you win a big match. And then Raquel and Roxanne pull up, and Roxanne's basically talking about how it should have been her that had the title match against Io Sky at WrestlePalooza, because she's the last one that pinned Io Sky. And that's honestly not a bad point, but at the same time, it's not like this was Io's title they were fighting for. This was a vacated title that both Stephanie and Io had earned title opportunities for. It wasn't like, oh, we have to make Io go against someone who beat Io before. No, this is more of a, both of these women were promised shots at the title and weren't able to have them because the title was vacated. That's what this was. But it's still going to be an interesting feud. I'm really interested to see where this goes between Roxanne and Stephanie, because it was announced they have a match next week. And I don't know if it's for the title or if it's just a regular match, but either way, that's something to look forward to. And speaking of matches coming up, we have the AJ Styles Dragon Lee versus Judgment Day match. We have Dominic versus Rusev. And then we also got announced that we're going to have Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch, because Maxine Dupree just beat Becky Lynch, though it was a count out and it was a very protected loss for Becky Lynch, but it was still a win nonetheless for Maxine Dupree. So she's getting a title shot, which I'm gonna be honest, I hate to say it because I actually like Maxine Dupree. I don't think this one's even gonna be close. She might have her little moment where it looks like she's doing something, then Becky's just gonna hit her with a manhandle slam and call it a day. But after that, we had the main event, CM Punk versus LA Knight versus Jey Uso, #1 contenders match. Now, my thoughts going into this, I was for sure expecting either LA Knight or Jey Uso to win. Mainly Jey Uso. I thought maybe you could have like some bloodline drama going on and cost him this match, you know, with the stuff we've been seeing from them recently. And I thought that was just a good choice to give Seth someone to beat without like really hurting anyone. And I thought even LA Knight, just if Seth needed an opponent, and this isn't even like, I don't agree with this, but the way WWE books stuff, I would think they would use LA Knight as just someone Seth Rollins could beat. Because sadly, LA Knight's being used as a bit of a jobber in the upper card. Like, he's getting these main event matches just to lose them every week. So I expected that to happen. But we got a cool little triple threat match between the three. It was nothing too memorable. It was a good match. It was just, I've seen better main events on Raw. But this is where things get interesting. CM Punk actually picks up the win. He pins Jey Uso, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting, because while I think CM Punk deserves a title shot against Seth Rollins and should be the one to dethrone him as champion, it's just way too soon. I thought what they should have done was, after the whole tag match with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, they should have had CM Punk get involved in some other minor feuds and have Seth get involved in some other minor feuds and pick this back up at WrestleMania season. Because I'm not even one of the people that's super against this rivalry because it's been going on for so long. I'm actually all for this rivalry. This might be my favorite rivalry going on in WWE right now. However, I think it's just too soon for either of them to have a match against each other again. It's just too soon. But then, this is where it gets interesting. The Vision pull up, take everybody out, and then they start standing tall, you know, basically just Seth saying, oh, you want this title shot? This is me you're going against, by the way. Just letting you know, this is me. This isn't some ordinary champion. No, this is me in the Vision. They stand tall. We get the credits, you know, executive producer Paul Levesque, and we think the show's over. The show is not over. Braun Breaker hits Seth Rollins with a spear. Ever since this faction came together, I've always been talking about the inevitable moment when Braun Breaker hits Seth Rollins with that spear. It's gonna hit. And it hit. And it was just so unexpected. And then everyone's wondering, how is Bronson and Paul Heyman going to react? We have a moment where Braun's kind of looking at them. They look a little hesitant. And then Bronson Reed joins in and he hits Seth Rollins with a tsunami. And then Paul Heyman raises their hands. This was such an unexpected outcome to this Raw. I was not expecting this at all. There were signs throughout the show, like Braun Breaker looking a bit out of it. Seth Rollins constantly talking about how he's so grateful for everything going on. Seth Rollins talking down on them a bit. He had a moment, even, I forgot to mention this, where he told Bronson Reed that Bronson Reed, before meeting Seth, would have never beat Roman Reigns, when he was congratulating Bronson Reed on beating Roman Reigns. He was having moments where he was kind of belittling them, saying he doesn't need their help, but I thought it was nothing too crazy. But then the Vision turns on him out of nowhere to end the show. That was insane. Nobody expected that. But this is my take on this. I'm not buying it one bit, because the stuff Seth Rollins has been doing recently, I'm not taking anything he does serious. I think it's all just part of his plan. It's another one of his tricks. Because let's think back a bit. This man faked an injury just so he could cash in on CM Punk and make sure that CM Punk would never be champion. Then the Fatal 4-Way at Clash in Paris, the Vision was banned from the arena, so everybody's like, oh, what's Seth gonna do? He has no help. He gets Becky Lynch to take out CM Punk right when CM Punk's about to beat him and become champion, because Seth doesn't want to see CM Punk become champion. And that's gonna be the case when this match happens too, I believe. I'm almost certain when this match does happen between Seth and CM Punk, I don't know if it's gonna be on a Raw or at a PLE. I don't know when it's gonna be. We just know it's happening. This is what's gonna happen. The whole narrative is gonna be, can Seth do it by himself? This is his first match without the Vision, and if Becky Lynch tries something, AJ Lee's right there. She can get the upper hand on Becky Lynch. So Seth is really cornered right here. He doesn't have a wise man anymore. Or I guess the Oracle makes sense, because Seth calls him the Oracle and not the wise man, but y'all get the point. So it's like, how is Seth gonna do? How is he gonna perform against CM Punk by himself? That's gonna be the whole story of this match. They'll have a good long match, go back and forth, but towards the end, CM Punk's gonna start dominating, and this is how it's gonna go. CM Punk's gonna get him in GTS position. He's gonna start getting a little too confident. He gonna start nodding his head like, yeah, this is my turn now. We gonna see two men in hoodies and ski masks pull up. Now, one of the men in this hoodie and ski mask, you won't be able to see him from a mile away because he big as shit. It's gonna be Big Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They're gonna attack CM Punk. Seth's gonna win. These men are gonna reveal themselves. Division. They're gonna reunite, and then Seth's gonna be on Raw talking about some, Punk, don't you get it? I'm always one step ahead. Ha ha ha. Like, we know how this goes. We've seen this story play out so many times. I am so certain this is how it's gonna end. It's too soon for the Vision to end. It's too soon for CM Punk to take the title off of Seth. Now, I think come WrestleMania, that's a whole different story. I think CM Punk's gonna beat Seth Rollins, overcome all the tricks, all the plan Bs at WrestleMania. But right now, that is not the case. That is not the case at all. This is just another trick up Seth's sleeve, just to showcase how dominant that the Vision and Seth truly are. Because everyone's been saying, oh, what's gonna happen with War Games now? Nothing's gonna happen. Triple H is not gonna do this right before War Games. They're gonna reunite, have a match at War Games, and then they're obviously gonna split up eventually, but it's just way too soon right now. But yeah, that's my take on everything. Like, I am so certain that this is all just a trick up Seth's sleeve. If the Vision does not reunite during the CM Punk and Seth Rollins match, I will literally go outside wearing Gunther's gear and pour milk on myself and start yelling like a madman, because this is just not gonna happen. The Vision is reuniting. They are not done this soon. But yeah, that's my take on everything that happened on this October 13th version of Raw. If y'all enjoyed this, please let me know, and if I messed up, I'm sorry. This is my first ever Raw recap. I'm trying my best, but I appreciate anyone that's still watching up to this point. Y'all let me know, though. Do y'all like this? Should I keep doing this, or should I delete this channel? It's up to y'all. Y'all let me know. Peace.